Welcome to Frank's School on the 17th day of the fourth year. Moides, in the viewing I said before, I said that comment, Moides, he Moides the King's English. Let me adjust that camera just so, I guess. He Moides the King English. I thought that might be an excuse to remind my viewers that I have my own spelling system. Moides is what I was saying was so funny. In standard English, American English anyway, you'd say murders. Those are sounds you actually make. And this is the way it's spelled, murders. He Moides the King's English. All right, we're going to go on. What I'm doing is I'm guiding the viewing of The Story of English by Robert MacNeil. And I'm going to ask you to watch the second and the third out of 7 parts to episode 1. I shouldn't have to talk very long. This is pretty easy viewing. It's not as confusing as James Burke's The Story of English was. I don't think you're going to need as much guidance. Just a few things I want to point out. As in James Burke's work, this is going to take us all over the world pretty often. You'll be in England and in India, in Ghana, quite a long time in India, and Ghana, Africa, Nigeria, West Africa, and then California. And I think that's where it breaks off. Well, you're going to hear some Indian girls, young women, explaining about the importance of English in India. And the one says, English is class. She even says, she doesn't know if that's true, but they've been taught that, and they believe it. She doesn't know it's true, but they believe it. I think they're pretty eloquent, those young Indian women explaining the importance of English, and it's so sweet to hear their variety of English, to my ear anyway. When he gets to Africa, you're going to hear the term Creole English. English which is a mixture of other languages. Later on he'll talk about the difference between a Creole and a Pidgin English. But anyway, you'll hear that for the first time, the word Creole. Typically you would not understand, unless it was your own Creole, you wouldn't, even if you speak English, you would not understand it. The need for a lingua franca. You're also going to hear that term, a lingua franca, a French language. That's Latin. But what it means is a language that can be used by everybody, even though it's not their own language. That's called a lingua franca. And in the times of the Roman Empire, Latin was the lingua franca of all of Europe, I think. You're going to hear standard English, the term standard English. And I really like the fact that he uses that. When I was a kid, they always talked about proper English, that word proper. And as a linguist, I discovered, or as a student of linguistics, I discovered that was just an idea that people maintained, that there was a proper English. Well, it's a loaded term, so he uses standard English. You'll hear that. De chevaux has nothing to do with language, but I want to point it out. I lived in West Africa for one summer, and that's where I got to be familiar with these funny little cars called de chevaux. I'm not sure, there's another name for them, but that means 2 horse in French. And you're going to see that Swiss guy get out of a little white de chevaux. And that's where they're talking about he's Swiss, they're German, they're African, but they speak English, lingua franca. And then he'll go into the difference between American English and British English, something that my German friends are so aware of, that I speak American English, and there's a difference. Anyway, this term, Carl Sandburg, a famous American poet, I guess is quoted as saying that American English is English with its sleeves rolled up. I thought about that, sleeves rolled up. Why do you roll your sleeves up? Well, a working man does, but I actually think I roll my sleeves up because I'm never sure when I'm going to get into a fight. Not that I fight that much, but if I get in a fight, I want to make sure my sleeves are already rolled up. There's actually some truth in that, I think. All right, anyway, look at these two and enjoy them. I think you will, and I really think it's pretty easy viewing. I would imagine that students in a public school would follow this with some interest. I'll see you tomorrow.